The United States now is airdropping aid, food, meals into Ukraine. Sorry, Gaza. Sorry, I didn't mean. Hold on. Let's go to Joe Biden here. Let's get this straight, just to make sure.
That was a workmanlike job going into that.
I forget exactly what it is. Maybe he knows better than me.
With our friends in Jordan and others. In the coming days, we're going to join with our friends in Jordan and others in providing airdrops of additional food and supplies into Ukraine.
Oh, it is
Ukraine. Seek to continue to open up other avenues into Ukraine, including the possibility of a Marine corridor to deliver large amounts of humanitarian assistance.
So it is Ukraine, right? I see, because when I Googled it, I couldn't find anything about airdrops of food and aid into Ukraine. I saw this. This says U.S. begins airdrops of humanitarian aid in Gaza. That makes more sense.
He's at the top of his game.
I mean, Gaza is a lot smaller than Ukraine. We could still get aid into Ukraine through other means, right? I mean, Ukraine's got a huge border. There's only fighting in some of Ukraine. So I'm going to go with Gaza. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the president may have misspoke. He may have just gotten that wrong, which is amazing because he's very sharp. As we know, he has all his faculties about him. He's ready to go. He's good to go. All these naysayers saying he's losing his mind. We know that's not true. And so it's a tough call. Like, I don't know who to believe, Joe Biden or the New York Times. Yeah. But because it makes sense, it just makes sense geographically and logistically. It makes sense that they'd be going into Gaza. Although when you think about it, logistically, it really doesn't make sense that we'd have to drop aid into Gaza through the air because Israel's our ally. So why would we have to drop aid in on Gaza from the air when it's our ally doing the campaign, right? You would think Israel, wonderful ally of the United States, grateful for all the support we've given them through their very carefully operated military operation, you'd think they would cooperate and let us get the aid in so we wouldn't have to drop it from the air. So that's why that didn't really make sense either. But the New York Times says U.S. begins airdrops of humanitarian aid in Gaza. 3 Air Force cargo planes dropped 38,000 ready-to-eat meals in Gaza. But critics called that insufficient. See, this is another thing that doesn't make sense. There's 2 million people in Gaza who are starving. 38,000, that doesn't seem like anywhere near enough. Again, this story just gets more confusing as you go, right? You have the president saying we're dropping aid into Ukraine, but the photos and the write-up seem to suggest that we're dropping it into Gaza, even though Israel's our ally. So why would we have to circumvent our ally? This whole thing is very confusing. But here's some photo evidence. Those don't look like Ukrainians to me. I don't mean to profile, but they look more like Gazans to me. So I guess Gaza is the answer.
These are this is the new population of Ukraine because they killed everybody else.
Yeah, right.
They're moving the migrants in there.
Okay, so it looks like Gaza it is. The New York Times writes, the United States made its first airdrops of humanitarian aid into Gaza on Saturday as the Biden administration tried to prevent a greater humanitarian disaster in the Palestinian territory. 3 U.S. Air Force cargo planes airdropped 38,000 ready-to-eat meals in a joint operation with the Jordanian Air Force, U.S. Central Command said in a statement on Saturday. The airdrops, which some aid experts, criticized as insufficient and largely symbolic, contribute to, quote, ongoing U.S. government efforts to provide life-saving humanitarian assistance to the people in Gaza, the statement said. We are conducting planning for potential follow-on airborne aid delivery missions. The operation was intended to be the first in a sustained campaign of airdrops, the official said, adding that the United States is also exploring other avenues of bringing more aid into Gaza, including by sea. The official and others at the briefing spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss military operations and diplomatic efforts. The drops came a day after President Biden said the United States would find new ways to get aid to Palestinians in desperate need because of Israel's 5-month military campaign to destroy Hamas. It also comes 2 days after more than 100 Palestinians were killed as Israeli forces opened fire around a convoy of aid trucks in northern Gaza. We have a segment on that coming up later Although Mr. Biden has implored Israel, which has sealed its border with Gaza, to allow more aid in, the demand for food, water, and medicine after nearly 5 months of war there remains huge. Those conditions have put Mr. Biden under political pressure to do more to help the Palestinians, even as the U.S. supplies Israel with military hardware. I forget the exact dimensions, I should have looked this up again, of the Gaza Strip, but it's a very small piece of land.
Yep.
And like I said, in all seriousness, bit earlier notwithstanding, there's no fucking reason why we should be having to drop meals in from the air when it is our ally conducting the campaign. Does that make any sense at all? Does that make any sense at all?
Where's Israel's bitch?
Yeah.
That's why Netanyahu was like, yeah, it doesn't matter if there's a ceasefire. I'm going in anyway. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck your election. I'll get a better deal with Trump anyway. What does he give a shit if Joe Biden goes down?
No,
the only power Biden has is, hey, we're going to cut you off, but he's owned. He's owned by the arms manufacturers. He's owned by AIPAC. So he's not going to do that. We do not have a democratic government. We have an oligarchy. That is why the popular will, there was that Stanford study years back where they demonstrated the public will has less than a 1% impact on legislation.
Yeah, it's just incredible. It's just
it
absolutely
doesn't
incredible.
matter what the people want. That's why I say, in the way that I can say it here, we're past regular order democracy. We're past it. You can't solve these problems with elections anymore.
There was the meme that went around today of U.S. airplanes and Israeli aircraft dropping probably 20 bombs on Gaza and then a few loaves of bread interspersed throughout there. That's what you had. That's the other element of this. That's the other element of this. Now the people in Gaza have to guess when a plane flies overhead. Is this the plane that's going to kill us in half a second, or is this the plane that's going to drop food on us?
I saw a meme that said no sooner did the food get airdropped than the bombing commenced.
Of course.
How are they supposed to distribute food under? It's just the longer this goes on, the more these horrors multiply. You just feel so helpless because we just do not have a government that has any interest in the popular will. It just doesn't exist. Not here, not in England. We can see the way they're reacting to Galloway. That's why increasingly I've been saying this is a battle really for the future of society, whether the future is going to be governed by the people or whether we're going to be governed by a small elite class that calls identity politics equality without ever addressing economics, class, or militarism.
Please clap.